In a world of noise and distraction, there is one place where wisdom still whispers, where voices of greatness echo through time. Welcome to the Motivational Library. Preface. There comes a moment in every life when the noise becomes unbearable, when the weight you've carried for years suddenly feels too heavy to hold, when the mirror reflects a version of you that feels distant, unfinished, almost unfamiliar. Maybe you've felt it, the quiet ache inside your chest, the longing for something more, the whisper that says, "This cannot be all there is. You were meant for more than this." This book begins exactly at that moment, the turning point between who you are and who you are becoming. Not with perfection, not with confidence, not with clarity, but with a spark that appears the very second you stop running from yourself and start listening to the voice inside you, the voice you've ignored for far too long. The hidden battle within. Most people look calm on the outside, but behind the smiles, the small talk, the routines, there is a storm made of unspoken fears, unfinished dreams, unhealed wounds, unexpressed potential. We are taught to survive, not to live, to endure, not to evolve, to stay quiet, not to break free. But there comes a day when the storm can no longer be suppressed, when you feel something shift in your soul. A door you didn't know existed begins to open. A path you once feared begins calling your name. And suddenly, the life you've been living feels too small for who you are becoming. This book is written for that moment, for the person who stands at the crossroads, tired of their own excuses, exhausted by their own fears, ready to rewrite the story they've been repeating for years. The journey of becoming transformation does not begin with confidence. It begins with honesty, the honesty to admit your pain, the courage to face your limitations, the humility to learn, the strength to begin again. This book is not about motivation alone. It is about evolution, an evolution that happens quietly, steadily, deeply, beneath the surface of the life you've been living. Every chapter in this book is a doorway, a passage into a new dimension of yourself, a version of you that sees clearly, a version of you that walks boldly, a version of you that lives with purpose, peace, and power. You will encounter the shadows you've avoided, the patterns that hold you back, the beliefs that keep you small. But you will also discover the strength you forgot you had, the fire you thought had died, the purpose that was waiting beneath the rubble. This journey is not for the faint-hearted. It demands truth. It demands discipline. It demands your full presence. But what it gives in return is freedom. A story of fire and rise. Imagine standing on a mountaintop at dawn. Your breath is heavy. Your heart is pounding. The climb behind you was brutal. Your legs ache. Your lungs burn. And yet, as the first light touches the horizon, you feel something deep inside your chest, a knowing. I made it. I'm still here. I'm not who I used to be. The climb didn't break you. It built you. Every wound became wisdom. Every setback seeded strength. Every fear became fuel. That is what this book does. It guides you to a place within yourself you may have never visited before. A place where the old self dissolves and the new self emerges. A place where you don't just survive life. You shape it. You direct it. You own it. Why this book exists. This book was not written to inspire you for a moment. It was written to awaken you for a lifetime. To remind you that you are not broken. You are unfinished. You are not weak. You are untrained. You are not lost. You are evolving. Human beings are not defined by where they are. They are defined by where they decide to go. And you, standing at the threshold of this book, are about to make the most important decision of your life. To believe, to begin, to become. The promise. If you read this book with an open heart, if you allow each chapter to challenge you, if you let the words not just touch you, but transform you, you will not finish this book as the same person who started it. You will rise deeper. You will walk wiser. You will live bolder. You will become the version of yourself you secretly hoped was possible. Not someday. Now. Because your life is too important to wait. Your dream is too sacred to delay. Your purpose is too powerful to ignore. Let the journey begin. Take a breath. Feel your heartbeat. Acknowledge the quiet fire that lives within you. This is your turning point. The moment everything changes. The moment you choose to stop existing and start becoming. Welcome to Believe, Begin, Become. Welcome to your evolution. The world has waited long enough for your rise. It starts now. Chapter 1. The Power of Awakening, Seeing Yourself Through New Eyes. There comes a moment in every human life when the noise of the world fades, even for a second. And in that fragile silence, something ancient stirs inside you. You can feel it, the whisper of a life that could be, a version of yourself that's been waiting patiently beneath the surface. For years you've been running, chasing expectations, obeying routines, wearing masks to fit the rhythm of a world that rewards conformity over consciousness. But there's always been that quiet ache, the question that doesn't go away. Is this all I was meant to be? That question isn't doubt. It's destiny knocking. It's the beginning of awakening. The moment the fog lifts. Imagine this. You wake up one morning, sunlight spilling through the curtains, and for a reason you can't explain, you feel different. The air feels sharper. The silence feels heavier. You look around and realize that the life you've built feels smaller than you remember. The job that once seemed stable now feels like a cage. The people you once tried to impress no longer inspire you. And the mirror reflects not just your face, but your fatigue, the weight of years spent living for approval instead of truth. This is the sacred discontent that births awakening. It is not comfort that awakens you. It's discomfort. It's the crack in the pattern, the restlessness that whispers, there's more to you than this. The gift of seeing clearly. We spend so much of our lives sleepwalking, not because we lack intelligence, but because we forget to see. We see the clock, but not the time passing through our fingers. We see the faces around us, but not the souls behind them. We see ourselves in photos, but not in truth. To awaken is to see with new eyes. To realize that your life isn't a series of accidents, but a canvas of choices. Every limitation, every fear, every failure you've carried wasn't meant to break you. It was meant to wake you. The moment you see your prison is the moment you hold the key. When you awaken, you stop blaming and start claiming. You stop asking, why me? And start declaring, watch me. The myth of the someday life. So many people live waiting for someday. Someday I'll start that business. Someday I'll heal. Someday I'll speak my truth. Someday I'll live the life I dream of. But someday is a thief dressed as hope. It keeps you comfortable in hesitation, convincing you that waiting equals preparation. When in truth, waiting only strengthens your fear. Awakening begins when you decide that someday is today, when you stop waiting for permission and start living with intention. Because here's the truth, there will never be a perfect moment. There will never be enough time, enough certainty, enough approval. The only perfect moment is the one where you decide to begin. The collapse of the old self-awakening is not gentle. It is not poetic. It is fire. It burns away the illusions you've mistaken for identity. Your job title, your possessions, your social image, your trophies. It dismantles everything that was built on fear or approval. You might lose people who no longer align with your truth. You might feel alone when the noise fades. You might question everything, even yourself. That's not weakness. That's rebirth. The collapse of the old self is not the end. It's the clearing of space for the real you to emerge. The moment your false self dies, your true life begins. The pain of awakening is sacred. It means your soul is remembering itself. The mirror test. If you truly want to awaken, start by standing before a mirror. Look into your own eyes and ask, who am I, really? What am I pretending not to see? What would my life look like if I stopped playing small? You may not like the answers at first, but truth doesn't exist to comfort you. It exists to free you. When you strip away the lies, what remains is power. When you stop seeking validation, what remains is vision. And when you stop pretending, what remains is possibility. The mirror doesn't lie. It reflects who you are becoming. The shift in perception. The first real sign of awakening is not a change in circumstance. It's a change in perception. You begin to see lessons where you once saw losses. You begin to see strength where you once saw scars. You begin to see beauty in solitude and wisdom in pain. Nothing outside you has changed, and yet everything feels new. Because once your mind expands, it can never return to its old dimensions. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Wayne Dyer. Awakening doesn't give you new eyes. It teaches you how to use the ones you've always had. The first step, when the fog of confusion lifts and you see your life clearly, you face a choice, to stay asleep in comfort or to awaken into truth. The path of awakening is not easy, but it's real, and the real will always be better than the comfortable lie. Begin by asking yourself each morning, what am I pretending not to feel? What truth am I avoiding? What step can I take today toward alignment? Because every great transformation begins with a single, simple act: awareness. You cannot change what you refuse to confront. You cannot heal what you refuse to feel. And you cannot awaken while you're pretending to sleep. A story to remember: there's an ancient story of a lion raised among sheep. From birth it bleated, grazed, and trembled, convinced it was one of them. One day an old lion approached the flock. The sheep scattered in fear, except for the young lion, confused and curious. The elder dragged the trembling cub to a lake and pointed at their reflection. "Look," he said, "see who you are." In that still water, the young lion saw the truth. Not a sheep, but royalty. The roar that emerged wasn't learned. It was remembered. That's what awakening is. You've always been powerful. You've just forgotten. Your roar is waiting for you in the reflection of your truth. The invitation. So here's your invitation. Stop running. Stop hiding. Stop numbing. Sit in silence long enough to meet yourself again. You are not broken. You are becoming. You are not behind. You are beginning. You are not lost. You are awakening. The moment you choose to see, you begin to believe. And belief is the first spark of transformation. Because when you believe in what you could become, the world rearranges itself to match your vision. Reflection exercise. The Awakening Journal. Tonight, before you sleep, write 3 truths. 1. What parts of your life no longer feel aligned? 2. What fears have kept you asleep? 3. What would your life look like if you truly awakened tomorrow? Then close your eyes and whisper, "I am ready to see," because this, right now, is where the journey begins. This is where you awaken. Once you awaken, you can never go back to sleep. Chapter 2. Breaking the Chains. Freeing your mind from fear and limitation. There comes a moment after awakening when the world seems brighter, yet heavier at the same time. You begin to see the invisible bars that have always been there, surrounding your thoughts, your choices, your voice. At first it's subtle, like realizing you've been walking with weights around your ankles for years. Then it hits you. You've been living inside a prison built not of walls, but of beliefs. You thought you were free. You thought you were choosing. But the truth is, most people are not living. They're rehearsing fear. And so begins the second stage of transformation, the breaking of chains. The prison you can't see. Imagine a bird raised in a cage. Every day it looks through the bars, watching the open sky, the clouds drifting, the other birds soaring, and though the door is unlocked, it never leaves. Why? Because the cage is no longer outside. It's inside. That bird has been trained to believe that freedom is dangerous, that flight is fatal, that the world beyond the bars is not meant for it. So it stays, singing the songs of captivity. That's how fear works. It's invisible. It's logical. It's disguised as safety, routine, practicality. And before you know it, your potential has been replaced by patterns. Patterns of smallness, hesitation, and self-doubt. The subtle chains of the mind. Not all chains rattle. Some smile, some give you comfort. Some look like love, the chain of approval, needing everyone to like you. The chain of perfection, waiting to be flawless before you begin. The chain of comparison, measuring your worth against others. The chain of fear, convincing yourself that failure is fatal. Each one whispering, stay safe, don't risk, don't rise. But safety is the most beautiful prison in the world, and no empire of greatness was ever built within its walls. The fear factory. Fear has a strange way of pretending to be your friend. It tells you it's protecting you from rejection, from pain, from disappointment. But what it's really protecting you from is yourself. Every time you hear the voice that says, you're not ready, every time you say maybe later, every time you choose comfort over courage, you feed the factory of fear. Fear grows stronger through avoidance. The more you run, the more it hunts. The only way to defeat fear is to walk straight into it. The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. Joseph Campbell. The lie of limitation. Limitation is not real. It's inherited. You were taught who you could be before you ever had a chance to decide for yourself. Maybe someone once told you, you're not smart enough. Maybe you failed once, and that failure became a story. Maybe you saw others succeed and thought, that's not for people like me. But all those voices, they are echoes of other people's fears, not your truth. The chains that hold you were forged by borrowed beliefs, and the day you stop borrowing them is the day you begin to believe in your own power. The moment you decide, freedom doesn't begin when life gets easier. It begins when you decide that fear no longer deserves to lead you. There's a switch that flips when you finally say, I'm done living small. I'm done apologizing for my dreams. I'm done carrying chains that were never mine to carry. That's not rebellion, that's remembrance. You are remembering what it feels like to be limitless. You are remembering what it means to choose yourself. A story of the rope. There's a story about a baby elephant tied to a wooden post with a thin rope. As a calf, it struggles to break free, but fails. Over time, it stops trying. Years later, when the elephant is grown, strong enough to uproot trees, the same fragile rope still holds it in place. It doesn't struggle because in its mind, the rope is unbreakable. That's the tragedy of belief. Most of us could pull free anytime, but we don't because our minds still believe the rope is real. Fear is a teacher, not an enemy. When fear shows up, don't run, listen. It's not there to stop you. It's there to show you where your growth lives. Fear is the compass that points directly toward expansion. It says, here lies your power. Walk through me. The greatest transformations don't happen when fear disappears. They happen when you move forward despite it. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's the decision that something else matters more. Breaking the chain of what if. The words what if are the most subtle shackles ever invented. What if I fail? What if they laugh? What if I'm not ready? But what if you don't fail? What if they admire your courage? What if you are ready and this is your moment? What if everything you've ever wanted is waiting on the other side of that fear? The truth is, it is. You don't need to wait for fear to go away. You need to act before it does. Rewriting the story. The mind is a storyteller. It writes myths of danger, disaster, and disappointment, and calls it realism. But you are the author now. You can choose to rewrite the script. From I can't to I can learn. From I'm afraid to I'm ready. From I've failed to I've grown. When you rewrite the story, the chains loosen. When you rewrite it enough times, they fall. The ritual of release. Try this tonight. Write down every fear that's been holding you hostage. Every belief that whispers you're not enough. Then one by one say aloud, this no longer defines me. Tear the page. Burn it if you must. And as the ashes rise, whisper, I am free. It's not superstition, it's symbolism. It tells your subconscious that you are no longer available for bondage. Freedom begins with declaration. The choice to walk free freedom isn't found. It's chosen. Every morning you choose which master you'll serve, fear or freedom. Fear will give you comfort, but it will cost you destiny. Freedom will demand courage, but it will give you yourself. And once you taste that, once you feel the air of possibility in your lungs, you'll never fit inside a cage again. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. Marianne Williamson. A vision beyond fear. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine yourself standing at the edge of a vast horizon. Behind you, the old life, the expectations, the chains. Before you, everything you've ever dreamed of becoming. You take a deep breath. You feel the pull of fear behind you. Familiar, almost comforting. And then, with trembling hands, you step forward. Not because you have no fear, but because you finally understand. Fear is the gatekeeper of freedom, and you are the one holding the key. Reflection exercise. The Chain Breaker's Journal. 1. Write down 3 fears that control your decisions. 2. For each ask, what's the worst that could happen, and what's the best that could happen if I faced it? 3. Choose one fear this week and take a small, brave action that challenges it. Every time you do, the chains weaken. Every act of courage is a crack in the armor of fear. And one day, when you least expect it, you'll look down and realize the chains are gone. You're free. You've begun. You were never meant to crawl when you were born to soar. Chapter 3, The Voice Within. Trusting the quiet power of intuition. There is a voice inside you that has been speaking all your life, softly, patiently, waiting to be heard. It doesn't shout. It doesn't argue. It whispers. But in a world that glorifies noise, hustle, and the opinions of others, that inner voice often becomes buried beneath the chaos. You scroll, you rush, you obey, you follow the rhythm of everyone else's song, until one day you realize you can no longer hear your own. And that is when life begins to ache in strange, silent ways. You feel lost, though you know where you are. You feel tired, though you've done nothing wrong. You feel incomplete, though nothing seems missing. That feeling is your intuition knocking, the voice within calling you home. The sound beneath the noise. Imagine standing in a crowded marketplace. The world around you is loud. People shouting, bells ringing, the air thick with distraction. But beneath it all, if you listen carefully, there's a single violin playing a gentle tune. That violin is your intuition. It never stops playing, but most of us never stop long enough to hear it. We confuse volume with truth, and in doing so, we lose touch with the subtle symphony of our own soul. Intuition doesn't come from thought. It comes from knowing. It's the still point beneath the storm, the ancient intelligence that whispers, "This way," the story of the river. There's a story told by an old monk. A young man once came to him, frustrated and uncertain. "Master," he said, "I don't know what to do with my life. I keep asking for signs, but none ever come." The monk smiled and led him to a quiet river. They sat by the bank in silence. After a while, the monk asked, "What do you hear?" The young man replied, "The wind, the birds, the water." "Good," the monk said. "Now listen again." Minutes passed. The young man's face changed. "I hear the rhythm beneath the water," he said softly. "A pulse, almost like a heartbeat." The monk nodded. "That is how truth speaks. It's not louder than the world. It's deeper. The question isn't whether your inner voice is speaking. The question is whether you're quiet enough to hear it. The language of the soul. Your intuition speaks in symbols, sensations, and synchronicities. It comes as goosebumps when something is right, heaviness when something is wrong, peace when you're aligned, and tension when you're not. It speaks through the tightening in your chest when you say yes but mean no. It speaks through the strange coincidences that repeat, the book that falls open to the right page, the stranger's words that echo your hidden thoughts. The rational mind calls these coincidences. The awakened soul calls them guidance. Intuition doesn't need explanation. It only asks for trust. The intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant. We have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift. Albert Einstein. Why we stop listening. As children, we are born intuitive. We sense energy before we understand words. We know when something feels right or not. We laugh when our hearts are light and cry when they're heavy. But as we grow, we're taught to distrust that inner knowing. We're told to be reasonable, to think logically, to follow the rules. And so we begin to silence the voice that guided us effortlessly in the beginning. We start making decisions from fear instead of faith. We chase validation instead of vibration. We listen to the world instead of our wisdom. And every time we ignore that whisper, it grows fainter, until all that remains is the noise of everyone else. The cost of ignoring intuition. There's a quiet tragedy in living a life that looks good, but doesn't feel right. You can achieve the dream, get the job, find the applause, and still feel empty. Because intuition doesn't measure success by external standards. It measures alignment by internal peace. When you silence your inner voice, you trade authenticity for acceptance. You stop creating your life and start surviving your role. But the soul cannot stay silent forever. It will send you signs, discomfort, dissatisfaction, the subtle ache of something missing. That ache is not punishment, it's guidance. It's your deeper self saying, "Come back to me." The return to inner trust. To trust the voice within, you must learn to be still. Stillness is not idleness, it is presence. It is choosing to listen before reacting. It is the sacred pause between impulse and insight. In that space, truth reveals itself. Your intuition may not give you the full map, only the next step, but that's all you ever need. Because when you take one step in faith, the next appears. And before you know it, the fog begins to lift. You realize that the voice within was never gone, only drowned out. A personal moment of truth. There was a time in my own life when I ignored that voice. Everything looked right from the outside. A stable path, predictable routines, the kind of life others said was secure. But something deep inside kept whispering, "This isn't it." I pushed it away for years. I told myself I was being unrealistic, ungrateful, dramatic. But the whisper grew louder, not in sound but in presence, until one day it became unbearable. I remember standing at a crossroads, one road leading to everything familiar, the other into the unknown. My mind screamed to stay. My intuition quietly said, "Go." I listened. It was terrifying. It was uncertain. But it was true. And on the other side of that decision, I didn't just find a new life. I found myself. Learning the art of listening, start with small things. Before you make a decision, pause and ask, how does this feel in my body? Does it feel expansive or heavy, energizing or draining? Your intuition speaks through your body before your mind interprets it. Keep a whisper journal. Write down every instinct that comes, no matter how random. Over time, you'll notice patterns. You'll begin to see that your intuition was never wrong, only ignored. And as you trust it more, it grows louder. The difference between fear and intuition. One of the greatest challenges is learning to tell fear from intuition. Fear shouts. Intuition whispers. Fear is urgent. Intuition is calm. Fear comes from the mind. Intuition comes from the soul. Fear says, "Don't go, you might fail." Intuition says, "Go. Even if you fail, you'll grow." The mind calculates, the heart knows. The sacred compass. Intuition is not about predicting the future. It's about aligning with truth in the present. It doesn't show you every turn, but it keeps you aligned with your highest direction. It is the compass of the soul, and when you follow it, life begins to flow. You meet the right people at the right time. Opportunities appear when you least expect them. Doors open that logic could never unlock. Because when you walk in truth, life walks with you. The voice that never leaves. No matter how lost you feel, no matter how many wrong turns you've taken. The voice within never leaves you. It waits, it watches, it whispers patiently until the day you are ready to listen again. And when you do, you'll feel something ancient awaken inside you, a quiet certainty, a peace that doesn't need explanation. That is your intuition saying, "Welcome home." Reflection. Exercise the inner whisper journal. 1. Take 10 minutes each morning in silence. No phone, no noise. Ask yourself, what do I need to know today? Write the first thing that comes to mind. Don't filter it. 2. Reflect at night. When did I ignore my intuition today, and what happened? 3. Then ask, when did I follow it, and how did it feel? You'll begin to see a pattern. Every time you trust the whisper, life aligns. Every time you ignore it, life resists. And slowly you'll learn to walk not by sight, but by knowing. The answers you seek are not outside you. They've been whispering inside you all along. Chapter 4. The Seed of Purpose. Discovering why you were meant to begin. Every life begins with a seed, small, invisible, and full of infinite potential. You carried it with you long before you knew its name. It was there when you looked at the stars as a child and felt something move inside you. It was there in the moments that made your heart race. Not from fear, but from recognition. That feeling wasn't random. It was your purpose calling, faint at first, like a heartbeat beneath the noise. We all come into this world with something sacred planted within us. A dream, a gift, a calling. But for most of us, that seed lies buried under layers of doubt, fear, and expectation, waiting for the day we dare to uncover it. The forgotten seed. When you were young, you didn't question what excited you. You just knew. You sang without worrying if you were good. You created without wondering if anyone would approve. You dreamed without thinking about how. That was your seed in its purest form, untouched, alive, and free. But as the world began to shape you, it also began to cover you, with fear, with comparison, with rules that told you who you should be, and slowly you stopped watering that seed. You learned to chase validation instead of vision, to fit in instead of stand out, to survive instead of become. Yet no matter how long it's been buried, purpose never dies. It waits quietly beneath the soil of your distractions, whispering, remember who you are. The calling that won't go away. You felt it before, that pull towards something you can't explain. Maybe it's a passion you've ignored for years. Maybe it's a cause that stirs your soul every time you hear about it. Maybe it's a vision that seems too impossible to chase. But purpose doesn't care about practicality. It only cares about truth. And the truth is, you were never meant to live a life of quiet desperation. You were meant to create, serve, and become. That restless ache inside you isn't a problem to fix. It's a compass pointing toward your destiny. The longer you resist it, the louder it becomes. Because the seed within you knows the soil of your soul better than your mind ever will. The moment of realization. There comes a moment when you stop asking, what do I want to do? And start asking, what was I born to do? That question changes everything. Because purpose isn't about choosing something. It's about remembering something. The truth is, your purpose has been speaking through your entire story. Through your pain, your passions, and even your failures. Every heartbreak was pruning. Every setback was soil. Every disappointment was rain. Your purpose was never lost. It was growing roots. The myth of the big calling. We often think purpose must be grand, that it means saving the world or changing millions of lives. But purpose isn't about scale. It's about sincerity. Sometimes your purpose is to bring light into one dark room. Sometimes it's to raise a child who will do what you couldn't. Sometimes it's simply to become the version of yourself that your younger self needed to see. Purpose doesn't need applause, it needs authenticity. The garden of becoming, think of your life as a garden. Every choice is a seed. Every action is water. Every challenge is sunlight. Harsh but necessary. When you start nurturing your purpose, you don't always see results right away. Growth happens underground first. quietly, invisibly. But one day, what was once hidden bursts into the light. You bloom, not because it was easy, but because it was time. And in that moment, you understand that the pain, the waiting, the uncertainty, it all had meaning. It was preparing you for this. The fire in the ordinary purpose doesn't always arrive with lightning. Sometimes it's a spark in the middle of your ordinary day. When you're doing something simple and suddenly feel alive. It's the way you speak encouragement into someone's darkness. The way you create beauty out of chaos. The way your eyes light up when you talk about something that matters. That's the fire of purpose. It burns quietly, but once it catches, it consumes everything that isn't true. The fear of beginning. The greatest enemy of purpose isn't failure. It's hesitation. So many never begin because they're waiting to feel ready. But readiness is a myth. No one feels ready to start something that matters. You just begin. You trust the small voice that says, now. And as you move, the path appears. Because purpose doesn't show up when you have it all figured out. It shows up when you have the courage to begin without certainty. When purpose meets pain, you'll notice something profound. Your deepest wounds often point to your greatest purpose. The things that once broke you were preparing you to heal others. The rejection taught you empathy. The loss taught you presence. The darkness taught you how to carry light. Pain is not the opposite of purpose. It's the pressure that reveals it. The wound is the place where the light enters you. So your purpose often grows where your heart once bled, trusting the soil. Sometimes it feels like nothing is happening, like you've planted your dreams but all you see is dirt. That's where faith comes in. You may not see the roots, but that doesn't mean they aren't growing. Purpose takes time. The seed must break before it blooms. So if life feels heavy right now, remember, you're not buried, you're being planted. Reflection. Awakening the seed. 1. Write down what breaks your heart, because often that's where your purpose lives. 2. Remember what made you come alive as a child. Your earliest passions hold clues. 3. Ask yourself, if I couldn't fail, what would I do? Then take one small step toward it today. Each act of courage is a drop of water on the soil of your destiny. Each moment of authenticity is sunlight for your soul. And slowly, quietly, the seed begins to stir. Closing, becoming the garden. Your purpose is not something you chase. It's something you allow. It's already within you, waiting for your belief. When you stop asking if you were meant to begin and start realizing you always were, the world shifts. You walk differently. You speak differently. You live as if your life itself is a message, because it is. And the moment you honor that truth, the seed breaks open and the miracle begins. There's a seed within you that knows exactly what it's meant to become. All it needs is your courage to begin. Chapter 5. The Art of Discipline. Building the bridge between dreams and reality. There is a silent moment between dreaming and becoming, a sacred space where the world doesn't see your progress, but your soul knows the truth. It's the space where discipline lives. Dreams are beautiful, but they are fragile. Without discipline, they dissolve under the weight of distraction and doubt. Every vision, no matter how divine, must eventually walk through the ordinary, the repetition, the boredom, the grind. That's where greatness is forged. The bridge between desire and destiny. Imagine standing on one side of a great canyon. On your side, dreams, hopes, the life you wish to create. Across the chasm, the reality you crave. Peace, mastery, fulfillment. You can see it clearly, but you can't reach it by wishing. Discipline is the bridge that connects both worlds. Every consistent act, every morning you rise early, every time you keep a promise to yourself, every moment you choose effort over ease, you lay another stone on that bridge. It doesn't happen in bursts of motivation. It happens in the quiet repetition of faith. Discipline is the proof of belief. You can't claim to believe in your dream if you don't build for it daily. The myth of motivation. We live in a world obsessed with feeling inspired, but motivation is a wave. It comes and goes. Discipline is the ocean beneath it. Motivation is emotion. Discipline is decision. Motivation says, I'll do it when I feel like it. Discipline says, I'll do it because I said I would. Those who rise above mediocrity understand this truth. You can't depend on feelings to lead you. You must let your purpose lead your feelings. You won't always feel like showing up. You won't always feel strong or ready. But that's exactly when discipline is tested and strengthened. The training ground of greatness. Every master you admire once stood where you are, uncertain, tired, tempted to quit, but they learned something most never do. Consistency beats intensity. It's not what you do occasionally that shapes your destiny. It's what you do repeatedly, especially when it's difficult. The athlete trains when no one is watching. The artist paints even when the muse is silent. The leader leads themselves first, long before others follow. Their secret? They don't rely on mood. They rely on mission. Discipline is love in motion. Most people see discipline as punishment, restriction, denial, control. But true discipline is an act of self-respect. It's saying to yourself, I'm worth the effort. My dream is worth the sacrifice. You discipline what you love. A parent disciplines a child because they care. A gardener prunes a plant so it can grow stronger. And you discipline your mind and habits because you love who you're becoming. Discipline isn't about deprivation. It's devotion. The daily practice of aligning your actions with your higher self. The enemy within, comfort. Comfort whispers in your ear, you've done enough. Discipline answers, not yet. Comfort wants to keep you safe, still, and small. But discipline wants to set you free. Every great story is born from discomfort. Every transformation requires resistance. That's why the gym burns, why the silence hurts, why growth feels like loss at first. But behind every moment of resistance is a hidden truth. Pain is the price of progress. The difference between the dreamers and the doers is not talent. It's tolerance for discomfort. The rituals that shape reality discipline is not found in grand gestures. It's built in rituals, small, sacred routines that align your days with your destiny. The morning you rise before the world wakes, the journal where you pour your thoughts into clarity, the moments you choose focus over distraction, each ritual whispers, I am becoming. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. You just need to create one ritual that anchors your vision in action, then another, and another, until your habits carry you where motivation once struggled to. When you feel like giving up, there will be days when you question everything, when you feel like your effort is invisible, your dream too far. You'll want to stop. You'll tell yourself it's pointless. But remember this, the universe is not testing your potential. It's testing your perseverance. The dream you were given was never meant to be easy. It was meant to grow you into the person who can hold it. Every day you persist, even when no one claps, you are building invisible strength. You are forming the soul of a warrior. Discipline as spiritual practice. Discipline isn't just physical, it's spiritual. It's the daily prayer that says, I will not betray my purpose today. Each act of discipline is a declaration of faith. Faith in your future self, faith in the unseen results. You meditate not because it's easy, but because silence teaches you focus. You write not because you feel inspired, but because truth demands expression. You show up not because it's convenient, but because your calling deserves consistency. And over time, discipline becomes not a struggle, but a way of being. You stop forcing yourself to rise. You simply rise because it's who you are. The sacred boredom. There's a quiet boredom that comes with discipline, the repetition, the routine, the unseen days. But hidden in that boredom is brilliance. The pianist who practices the same scale thousands of times finds transcendence within monotony. The writer who rewrites a single paragraph learns precision. The monk who chants the same prayer daily finds God in the rhythm. Discipline transforms boredom into mastery. When you learn to love the process more than the outcome, you've already won. Reflection. Your bridge in motion. 1. What bridge are you building? What dream requires your consistency right now? 2. What small ritual could you commit to daily? Just one action that keeps your promise to your purpose. 3. What comfort are you willing to sacrifice, because every sacrifice is space made for something greater? Closing. The builder. Within discipline is not about perfection. It's about persistence. It's about choosing growth over ease, purpose over pleasure, and alignment over approval. When you rise early, when you stay steady, when you work in silence, the world may not see it yet, but the bridge is being built, and one day you will cross it, from who you were to who you were meant to become. And when you look back, you'll realize it wasn't luck, it wasn't talent, it was the quiet, relentless art of discipline. The disciplined life is not a cage, it's a path, and those who walk it don't become trapped, they become free. Chapter 6. Purpose over comfort. Choosing growth when ease calls your name. There comes a moment in every journey when comfort knocks on your door. It doesn't shout, it doesn't demand. It whispers softly, seductively, "Rest, stay here, don't risk it." And in that moment, the soul feels two forces pulling in opposite directions. One is growth, raw, uncomfortable, demanding. The other is ease, safe, predictable, familiar. Most people choose comfort. It's easier to remain in the warm glow of what you already know than to step into the fire of what you're meant to become. But the truth is this: comfort is a beautiful lie. It feels good in the moment, but it will never bring fulfillment. It will never make you rise. Growth lives on the other side of discomfort. Purpose thrives where ease refuses to follow. The illusion of safety. Comfort wears the mask of safety, but it is a cage. It tells you that staying quiet is protection. It tells you that avoiding challenge is wisdom. It tells you that hesitation is prudence. But safety is not freedom. Safety is the enemy of evolution. Every time you choose the easy path, you shrink a little. Every time you avoid risk, your dreams retreat. Every time you silence your desire for growth, you tell your soul it is not enough. And one day you wake up, decades later, realizing that comfort was the thief of your potential. The story of the mountain climber. There is a story of a man who dreamed of climbing the highest peak in his country. He trained, prepared, and set off. But halfway, exhaustion set in. The wind cut through his clothes. The path trembled with ice. Fear whispered, "Turn back, go home." And for a moment, he considered it. The warmth of the village below, the certainty of safety. It called to him like a siren. But then he remembered why he started. Not for fame, not for applause, but because he could not ignore the voice inside him that demanded he rise. He pushed forward, one step, another, until at last he stood at the summit, breathing the thin air of possibility. The lesson was simple. The world always offers comfort, but only those who choose purpose reach heights the easy path can never touch. Purpose demands sacrifice. Purpose is not polite. It doesn't wait for convenience. It doesn't bow to comfort. It asks, will you endure the cold of discipline, the isolation of self-mastery, the uncertainty of change? And in answering, you must be honest, because growth asks for your energy, your time, your attention, your courage, all of it. And it is never painless. Yet pain is not punishment. Pain is transformation. It stretches you. It strengthens you. It reveals the layers of strength you didn't know existed. The temptation of the familiar life has a strange way of testing desire. The more important a dream, the louder comfort whispers. The more necessary the growth, the sweeter the lie of ease. You may find yourself thinking, I'll start tomorrow. Maybe another day is better. I'm too tired right now. These are the subtle chains of comfort, dressed in polite language. And the longer you listen, the more your dreams retreat. Every great life, every story worth telling, is forged in the refusal to obey comfort. Choosing growth. Daily choosing purpose over comfort is not a one-time decision. It is a daily commitment. It is waking up before the world, even when your body protests. It is sitting with your fears, even when they scream for distraction. It is saying yes to effort, no to excuses, always to what matters most. Discomfort becomes your teacher. Resistance becomes your fuel. And slowly the path of purpose transforms from pain into momentum. Comfort is the enemy of progress. The moments that define us are rarely easy. The dance of fear and desire. Fear and desire often walk hand in hand. The closer you get to your purpose, the louder fear becomes. It will question you, test you, make you doubt every choice. But desire is louder if you feed it with action. Fear thrives on hesitation. Purpose thrives on courage. The question is, whose voice will you listen to? The soft whisper of safety or the relentless call of destiny? The power of small choices. Purpose isn't always about massive leaps. Often it is hidden in small, deliberate acts. Saying no to distraction, saying yes to the uncomfortable task, waking up 1 hour earlier to work on your growth, choosing to read, to reflect, to strengthen. Each small choice is a brick in the bridge that carries you from comfort to fulfillment. Each act of courage compounds. And one day you wake to realize you are no longer the person who feared discomfort. You are the person who chose purpose over comfort, the fire of your soul. Comfort can never ignite the fire within. It cannot push you to greatness. It cannot sharpen your skills, stretch your limits, or awaken your potential. Purpose, however, does all of this and more. When you commit to growth, life begins to move with you, not against you. Doors open, challenges become opportunities, obstacles turn into lessons, and your soul lights up with the unmistakable thrill of fulfillment. Reflection, the daily choice. 1. Identify one area where you are prioritizing comfort over growth. 2. Ask yourself, if I choose purpose here, what could change? 3. Take one concrete action today, however small, that favors growth. Repeat this every day. Over time, you will see a pattern. Comfort loses its grip. Purpose becomes habit. Growth becomes inevitable. Closing, the call to rise. Purpose is not convenient. It is not gentle. It is a call to rise, to challenge yourself, to embrace discomfort as a friend, not a foe. And the truth is simple. You were not born to remain comfortable. You were born to grow. You were born to overcome. You were born to choose purpose every single day over the ease that whispers lies. Comfort will seduce you, but purpose will awaken you. And only one of these voices will carry you to your destiny. Your life is waiting, not for ease, but for courage. Step forward. Choose growth. Honor your purpose. Chapter 7. The Courage to be Different. Walking the Path. Few dare to walk. There comes a moment in life when you look around and realize everyone else seems to be following the map. The paths are worn, predictable, safe, and then you notice the road less traveled, narrow, rocky, uncertain. It calls to you with a quiet insistence, a whisper that says, "This is yours. This is where you belong." But there's a catch. Few dare to walk it. It's lonely. It's uncomfortable. It's risky. And for those who choose it, life changes dramatically, irrevocably, beautifully. To be different is not an act of rebellion. It is an act of courage. The prison of conformity society has a strange way of teaching obedience. From childhood, we are molded to fit, to look like everyone else, think like everyone else, live like everyone else. If you rise above, you are labeled arrogant. If you dream differently, you are called unrealistic. If you fail to follow, you are considered reckless. And slowly, conformity becomes a comfortable cage. We laugh at dreams that are too big. We avoid speaking truths that might isolate us. We follow instructions instead of intuition. But here is the truth. The world does not need more followers. It needs those willing to walk the road few dare to tread. The story of the lone wolf. There was a wolf in a vast forest, unlike the others in its pack. While the pack moved together, hunting the same predictable prey, this wolf wandered alone, exploring new territories, listening to the wind, discovering hidden streams and valleys. At first, the pack mocked it. "Why leave the safety of the group?" they growled. But the lone wolf discovered a forest the others had never seen, abundant with opportunity, wisdom, and survival. Difference is often misunderstood. Difference is often lonely. But difference is also the birthplace of discovery and greatness. The fear of being misunderstood. The path of courage is rarely applauded at first. It attracts doubt, judgment, and sometimes outright criticism. People will question your choices. They will wonder why you don't follow the comfortable, easy route. They will suggest that you are foolish, reckless, or selfish. This is the test. Because courage does not seek approval. Courage does not bend to expectation. Courage thrives in the face of misunderstanding. To walk your own path, you must accept the risk of standing alone. Difference as a gift. Being different is not a burden, it is a gift. Your unique perspective, your unusual talents, your divergent thinking, these are what the world needs. The innovators, the visionaries, the creators, the leaders, all were different before they were celebrated. All of them felt the isolation, the pressure to conform, the temptation to hide their light. But what made them powerful was not popularity, it was authenticity. They did not shrink to fit the world. They expanded to fit their destiny, the moment of decision. There comes a critical moment. Do you shrink to please the world, or do you rise to honor yourself? It is terrifying. You may lose friends, comfort, and certainty. You may face ridicule, loneliness, and doubt. But the alternative is far worse. Living a life half alive, trapped in imitation, never becoming what you were born to be. Courage whispers softly, the world will never lead you. Lead yourself. Walking through fear. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to walk forward in spite of it. Every step you take on the path of difference will be uncomfortable. Every choice outside conformity will be questioned. Every dream that defies the norm will be tested. But with each step, you grow stronger. With each act of bravery, fear loses its grip. With each refusal to conform, your true self begins to shine. The role of resilience. The road few dare to walk is not smooth. It is filled with obstacles, setbacks, and moments that demand endurance. Resilience is the companion of courage. It allows you to rise after failure, to persist after ridicule, and to remain true when the world tries to pull you into mediocrity. Without resilience, courage falters. With resilience, courage becomes unstoppable. The power of vision. To walk a different path, you must see beyond the immediate. The world may not understand your choices today, but that is not your concern. What matters is the vision you carry within. Your vision will guide you when doubt clouds your path. It will illuminate the steps when fear tries to freeze you. It will remind you why you chose to walk alone, knowing that every step is building a life that aligns with your purpose. Reflection, the path of the brave one. Identify where you've been conforming to avoid discomfort or judgment. 2. Ask yourself, if I ignored fear and walked my own path, what could I create? 3. Take one courageous step today, small or large, that honors your unique path. Every act of courage compounds. Every step away from conformity brings you closer to the life only you can live. Closing. Your invitation to rise. The courage to be different is not a call for rebellion. It is a call for authenticity. The path is lonely. The path is hard. The path will test every fiber of your being. But on the other side of fear lies freedom. On the other side of judgment lies greatness. On the other side of conformity lies your true life. The world needs those who dare to walk differently. The universe rewards those who refuse to shrink. Step forward. Walk your path. Be brave. To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest courage you can ever muster. Adapted from Ralph Waldo Emerson. Your destiny is waiting on the path that only you can walk, and the first step? Choosing courage over comfort, truth over approval, and authenticity over imitation. Chapter 8. Rebuilding from Within. Turning pain into power. There comes a moment in life when the walls around you crumble. It may not happen suddenly. Often it's slow, a quiet unraveling, a series of small defeats that accumulate until you realize nothing is the way it used to be. Your dreams, your relationships, your sense of self, everything feels fractured. Pain is the hammer that breaks the old structures of comfort, routine, and illusion. It is relentless. It is raw. And yet it is also the most honest teacher you will ever meet. Because pain does not lie. It reveals. It strips away pretense, forcing you to face the truth. The life you've been living may have been convenient, but it was incomplete. And in that emptiness, a question arises. Will you crumble under the weight of suffering, or will you rebuild from within? The crucible of transformation. Imagine molten metal being poured into a mold. It cannot take the shape of its purpose without heat. Without fire, it remains raw, unformed, and fragile. Pain is your crucible. Your suffering is the fire. You will feel burned. You will feel disoriented. But if you allow yourself to be reshaped by this fire, you will emerge stronger, more refined, more resilient than you ever imagined. The truth is, every person who has ever achieved greatness has been forged in fire. The anatomy of pain. Pain manifests in many forms. Loss that leaves you hollow, betrayal that shatters trust, failure that crushes confidence, rejection that wounds pride. At first, it feels unbearable. You may want to retreat, you may want to hide, you may even want to give up on everything you once believed in, but these fractures are not your enemy. They are signals, redirections, invitations to rebuild. The question is not how to avoid pain. The question is how to transform it into power. The story of the fallen oak. There was once an oak tree, mighty and proud, standing tall in a forest. One night, a storm struck. The wind howled, the lightning tore through branches, and the oak fell, its trunk broken and roots exposed. For a time, it seemed the tree was lost, but underneath, new shoots began to emerge. The roots that had been hidden in darkness reached deeper. The broken trunk nourished new growth. Years later, the oak stood taller than ever, stronger than before. Its branches reached higher because it had been forced to rebuild from within. Your life is like that oak. Pain may topple you. It may expose your weaknesses. But within the rubble lies the seed of renewal, turning wounds into wisdom. Every wound carries a lesson. Every scar holds a secret. The betrayal you endured teaches discernment. The failure you suffered teaches humility. The heartbreak you survived teaches empathy. If you are willing to look beneath the sting, you will discover hidden strength. You will discover that the very experiences you wanted to avoid are shaping the power you now possess. Pain becomes power when you stop running from it and start learning from it. The alchemy of the soul. There is an alchemy in rebuilding from within. It transforms fear into courage, doubt into clarity, despair into resolve. Step 1. Acknowledge the pain. Do not numb it. Do not distract yourself. Step 2. Reflect on the lessons hidden within the suffering. Step 3. Act intentionally to reconstruct the self. Stronger, wiser, more aligned with your truth. This is not quick. This is not easy, but it is essential. Because the only way to rise higher is to first go deeper, the power of silence and solitude. When life shatters, the world often demands answers. Friends, family, society, all want you to move on or be strong. But strength begins in silence. Healing begins in solitude. And power begins when you listen to the voice within that says, I will rise, I will rebuild, I will become. In solitude, you meet yourself for the first time in a long while. You confront your fears, you honor your wounds, you plan your rebirth. It is in these moments away from distraction that your inner foundation is rebuilt, brick by brick, thought by thought, choice by choice. The role of choice. Rebuilding from within is a conscious choice. You can choose to remain a victim of circumstance, letting anger, resentment, and grief define you. Or you can choose to rise, letting pain become a teacher, not a tyrant. The choice is yours. When you make this choice, you reclaim your power. You declare that your life will no longer be determined by what happens to you, but by how you respond. The strength in vulnerability. Many believe that rebuilding requires stoicism, hiding emotions, suppressing weakness, but true power is born in vulnerability. To face pain openly is to invite transformation. To cry, to scream, to grieve, these are acts of courage. The more fully you feel, the more authentically you rebuild. Vulnerability is not weakness. It is a declaration. I am human. I am learning. I am growing. The rituals of renewal 1. Write your story. Put your pain into words. Make sense of it. Name it. 2. Forgive yourself. Release guilt or regret that keeps you tied to the past. 3. Set small goals. Rebuild confidence through tangible victories. 4. Create daily practices. Meditation, reflection, exercise, or journaling to strengthen your inner foundation. Every ritual, no matter how small, plants a seed for your renewed self. The moment of rebirth. Rebuilding is not linear. You will stumble. You will falter. You may feel broken again. But each time you rise stronger. Each time you confront your pain, you transform it into power. And eventually you will look back on your journey and realize the fire that once threatened to destroy you became the forge that shaped you. Pain did not defeat you. It refined you. The broken pieces of your past are the scaffolding for your future. The suffering you endured becomes the power you now carry. Reflection. Your inner reconstruction. 1. Identify the pain or struggle that still lingers. 2. Ask, what is this teaching me? How can I turn it into strength? 3. Take one deliberate action today to reclaim power, whether through reflection, action, or healing. Every moment spent rebuilding is an investment in your extraordinary future. Closing. Rising stronger. You were not meant to remain broken. You were not meant to be defined by your pain. You were meant to rebuild from the inside out, becoming stronger, wiser, and more powerful than ever. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Turn your pain into power, and your spirit will shine brighter than ever before. Your foundation is rising brick by brick, choice by choice, moment by moment, and soon the life you once imagined will no longer be a dream. It will be your reality. Chapter 9. The Silent Strength, Finding Power in Stillness and Solitude. In a world that never stops talking, moving, demanding, and distracting, silence can feel unnatural, even frightening. We fear it because in stillness, we meet ourselves. And in meeting ourselves, we see what has been hidden, ignored, or denied. But true strength is not loud, it does not scream, it does not seek approval. True strength whispers, and its power lies in the depth of its stillness. The noise of life. Everywhere there is noise, notifications, opinions, deadlines, expectations. The world surrounds you with a constant clamor, convincing you that movement is progress and that busyness is achievement. Yet the truth is the opposite. Most people are exhausted by noise, drained by distraction, and disconnected from themselves. The silent ones, the still ones, are the ones who hold the true power, because they have learned the art of listening to their inner voice, their intuition, and the quiet rhythms of life. The gift of solitude. Solitude is not loneliness, it is a sanctuary. When you remove the external noise, you allow your mind to breathe. When you step away from the constant approval of others, you reclaim your authority over yourself. When you sit with your thoughts, undistracted, you begin to see with clarity. Solitude sharpens the mind. Solitude strengthens the heart. Solitude deepens wisdom. The story of the hermit. There was once a man who withdrew into the mountains. He left behind the expectations, the noise, the chaos of society. For years, he walked alone, meditated, observed, and reflected. At first, people thought he was lost. Some said he had given up, but the man was not lost. He was finding himself. Through stillness, he discovered clarity. Through solitude, he discovered courage. Through silence, he discovered strength. The world eventually sought him out, drawn not to his words, but to the quiet power that radiated from his presence. The power of listening. In stillness, You hear the voice that always speaks but is often ignored. Your own. You hear the truth about what you want. You hear the subtle guidance of your intuition. You hear the patterns that have been shaping your life unconsciously. Most people fear silence because it forces them to confront the truth about themselves. But the truth is liberating. When you learn to listen deeply, your decisions become sharper, your actions become aligned, and your energy becomes unstoppable. The mind is a mirror. Stillness turns the mind into a mirror. It reflects your fears, your desires, your strengths, and your weaknesses. It shows you what you have been hiding behind distractions, excuses, and noise. And once you see it, you can shape it. You can prune the habits that limit you, water the thoughts that nourish you, and create a life that mirrors your highest self. The mind is not tamed by chaos. It is mastered through quiet. The strength of patience. In solitude, you learn patience. The world rewards those who rush. The world applauds the loudest. But the deepest power comes to those who wait, observe, and act with intentionality. Patience is not inaction. It is strategic presence. It is the ability to move only when the time is right, with precision and clarity. Those who cultivate patience through stillness develop a resilience that no storm can shake. Reflection in action. Stillness is not an escape from life. It is preparation for life. It allows you to recharge. It allows you to recalibrate. It allows you to respond rather than react. The strongest leaders, thinkers, and creators are not always the busiest. They are the most grounded. They have learned to move with the quiet power of inner alignment. The discipline of solitude. Solitude is a skill. It requires discipline to practice, especially in a world addicted to distraction. Start small. 5 minutes of silence in the morning. A walk without your phone. A moment to breathe and observe before reacting. Gradually, the practice deepens. You begin to notice thoughts clearly. You begin to distinguish between what matters and what does not. You begin to feel the strength that comes from being fully present with yourself. The fire beneath. Calm stillness is not weakness. It is a controlled fire. Like a volcano, it holds immense energy beneath a calm exterior. It is the power to respond rather than react. It is the clarity to act rather than panic. It is the ability to remain centered when the world is chaotic. True strength is quiet. True strength is rooted. True strength is forged in solitude and reflection. Reflection, cultivating your silent strength. Identify areas of your life dominated by noise and distraction. 2. Commit to intentional moments of stillness each day. 3. Observe your thoughts, feelings, and patterns without judgment. 4. Use solitude as a laboratory to understand, refine, and strengthen your inner self. Every moment of quiet power compounds. Every act of reflection sharpens clarity. Every choice made from stillness strengthens resilience. Closing. Becoming unshakable. The world will try to pull you in every direction. Chaos, distraction, and expectation are relentless. But the one who cultivates silent strength cannot be shaken. The one who masters solitude commands their energy, their focus, and their destiny. In stillness, the soul speaks. In solitude, the spirit grows. In silence, power is born. Your strength is not in doing more. It is in aligning more with your purpose, your values, and your inner truth. And the quiet moments you honor today will become the foundation of the unstoppable life you are building. Chapter 10, Energy and Focus, Guarding the Gates of Your Inner World. Your energy is sacred. Your focus is a fortress. Yet every day, the world comes at you with endless demands, distractions, and noise. Every ping, every request, every opinion, it chips away at the currency of your life, your attention. And here's the truth few realize. How you spend your energy determines who you become. The person who allows distractions to dictate their focus is like a captain who abandons the helm during a storm. The ship drifts, the winds decide its course, and the storm, no matter how small or fleeting, can destroy what took years to build. But when you learn to guard your inner world, When you protect your focus and channel your energy intentionally, you become unstoppable. The invisible battlefield. Every great life is forged on an invisible battlefield. The battle to remain calm in chaos. The battle to choose attention over noise. The battle to prioritize what matters over what is urgent but meaningless energy is not infinite. Every thought, every interaction, every choice consumes it. And if you give it away carelessly, you will discover one day that your reserves are depleted, your dreams neglected, your soul exhausted. Your inner world is sacred territory. Guard it as you would a treasure, because it is. The story of the archer. There was an archer trained for years to shoot with precision. He could hit the target with eyes closed, wind against him, storms raging. But if someone distracted him, a noise, a taunt, a doubt, his arrow missed. The lesson was clear. Mastery requires focus. Distraction is the enemy of achievement. Energy wasted is power lost. Your life is the same. The focus you cultivate determines whether you aim at your dreams or scatter your potential to the winds. Energy, vampires, beware the subtle thieves of energy. They come in many forms. Negative people, unnecessary drama, digital addiction, overcommitment, and even your own fears and doubts. They are relentless. They do not care about your dreams. They are satisfied only when they have diverted your attention, drained your enthusiasm, or clouded your mind. You must learn to recognize them, distance yourself, and reclaim what is yours. Energy is life force. Protect it, nourish it, invest it wisely. The power of focus. Focus is the alchemy that transforms energy into results. It is not merely attention. It is intention applied consistently. It is saying no to what does not serve you, so you can say yes to what will. It is creating boundaries in a world that expects constant surrender. Focus is the ability to see the unseen, to act with precision, and to create what others deem impossible. The rituals of energy protection. 1. Morning anchors. Begin the day with reflection, meditation, or intention setting. Guard the first hours fiercely. 2. Digital discipline. Limit mindless scrolling and interruptions that drain your mind. 3. Prioritize deep work. Identify the 2 to 3 activities that truly move you toward your goals. Protect your time for them. 4. Energy nourishment. Sleep, movement, nutrition, and meditation are not luxuries. They are essential weapons in the battle for focus. 5. Boundaries with people. Some interactions will cost more than they give. Protect your emotional and mental energy. Every ritual compounds. Every boundary strengthens your fortress. Every act of discipline fuels your progress. The inner conversation. Your mind is both an ally and a saboteur. The thoughts you entertain shape your energy. Fear, doubt, and worry drain power. Gratitude, clarity, and purpose amplify it. Learn to become aware of the inner dialogue. Correct the course of your mind like a seasoned captain steering a ship through treacherous waters. Energy is not just physical, it is mental, emotional, and spiritual. Guard all of it. The strength in saying no, the word no, is a sword. It is the power to reject what diminishes you. It is the courage to refuse obligations that scatter your focus. It is the boundary that allows your highest priorities to flourish. Most people fear saying no to friends, family, colleagues, or society. But this fear is costly. Every yes given to the unnecessary is a no stolen from your dreams. Saying no is not selfish, it is sacred. Energy and the flow state. When you protect your energy and sharpen your focus, you enter a flow state, a state of effortless creation. Time slows, thoughts sharpen, creativity explodes, productivity becomes joy. This is the reward for guarding your inner world, and this is where mastery begins. The difference between ordinary lives and extraordinary ones is often as simple as this. Those who achieve greatness do not surrender their energy. They channel it relentlessly toward what matters most. Reflection. Your fortress 1. Identify the activities, people, or thoughts that drain you. 2. Ask yourself, does this serve my purpose or distract from it? 3. Take one concrete action today to reclaim or protect your energy. Each small act of focus builds your inner fortress. Each conscious choice amplifies your power. Each moment you guard your attention strengthens your destiny. Closing. Becoming unstoppable. The gates of your inner world determine the boundaries of your life. If you allow chaos, distraction, and negativity inside, your potential will be fragmented. If you protect your energy, sharpen your focus, and cultivate clarity, nothing can stop you. Energy is life. Focus is power. Guard both as if your future depends on them, because it does. The world will demand your attention. It will tempt you with comfort, distraction, and drama, but the one who guards the gates of their inner world walks through life with unstoppable momentum, creating a reality aligned with purpose, passion, and power. Chapter 11. Leadership of the Self, Becoming Your Own Guide and Guardian. Leadership is often thought of as commanding others, inspiring crowds, or steering organizations. But the greatest leadership begins quietly, inwardly, in the mastery of yourself. Before you can lead others, you must first lead the one person you cannot escape, yourself. This is the essence of self-leadership. It is the discipline to guide your thoughts. It is the courage to govern your emotions. It is the wisdom to steer your actions in alignment with your highest purpose. To lead yourself is to take responsibility for the life you are creating. No excuses, no blame, no waiting for permission. The mirror of responsibility. Every choice you make reflects the leader within. Do you react impulsively or thoughtfully? Do you honor your promises or let them slip? Do you surrender to fear or step forward in courage? Your life is a mirror. It reflects your internal governance. When your internal leadership falters, chaos and uncertainty follow. When your internal leadership is strong, clarity and momentum emerge. Leadership of self is not optional. It is the foundation of every meaningful achievement. The story of the captain, a ship can have the finest sails, the strongest hull, and the most skilled crew. Yet if the captain is indecisive, distracted, or fearful, the vessel drifts, battered by storms, directionless. The crew cannot compensate for a weak captain. The winds will obey no one. Your life is your ship. You are the captain. No one else can navigate your storms, face your battles, or decide your destiny. When you assume full responsibility for yourself, your actions align with your purpose. You stop being buffeted by external chaos and become the master of your journey. The pillars of self-leadership. 1. Self-awareness. The leader must know themselves, strengths, weaknesses, fears, and desires. Without awareness, guidance is blind. 2. Self-discipline. The leader must govern themselves, acting with integrity even when no one is watching. 3. Self-reflection. The leader must pause to evaluate choices, learn from mistakes, and refine direction. 4. Self-mastery. The leader must rise above impulses, emotions, and distractions, making decisions aligned with purpose. 5. Self-compassion. The leader must nurture themselves, acknowledging failure as a teacher and strength as a tool. These pillars are not learned overnight. They are built daily, moment by moment, choice by choice. The battle within the world often demands leadership of you before you are ready. Deadlines, crises, and challenges arrive without warning. But before you can meet the demands of life with grace, you must conquer the battlefield within. Your mind, your emotions, your habits, your fears. Every moment of distraction, every surrender to impulse, every act of self-doubt weakens the leader within. Every moment of reflection, every choice aligned with purpose, every act of courage strengthens it. Self-leadership is the daily battle fought in silence, often unseen, but crucial to the victory you seek. Decision as power leadership is a series of decisions, not once, but continuously. Will you rise today or stay in comfort? Will you respond with anger or with understanding? Will you chase distraction or focus on creation? Every decision shapes your trajectory. Every act of self-governance compounds. The small, consistent decisions you make daily are far more powerful than occasional moments of heroism. Self-leadership is a lifelong practice of choosing deliberately, not being swept along by circumstance. The courage of accountability. To lead yourself is to hold yourself accountable. No excuses for failure. No blame for setbacks. Your life is yours, and yours alone. Accountability is liberating. It is the acknowledgement that you have the power to change, adapt, and evolve. It is the refusal to be a victim of circumstance. It is the unwavering commitment to honor your word to yourself, even when it is difficult. The most profound leaders are those who first learn to answer to themselves. The role of vision. A leader without vision drifts. A self-led individual moves with purpose. Vision acts as a compass. It aligns daily choices with long-term goals. It transforms discipline into meaningful action. It turns mundane effort into strategic momentum. Without vision, energy dissipates. With vision, your life becomes a masterful orchestration of intention and impact. Reflection and alignment. 1. Identify areas where you allow distraction, fear, or impulse to govern you. 2. Ask, if I led myself perfectly in this moment, what choice would I make? 3. Commit to small, deliberate actions that align your behavior with your highest vision. Each choice of alignment strengthens your leadership. Each act of courage compounds. Each moment of accountability builds the foundation for a life of mastery. The strength in solitude and guidance. Self-leadership does not mean isolation. It means being your own guide while remaining open to wisdom. Learn from mentors. Observe leaders you admire. Seek knowledge. But the final decision, the one that shapes your destiny, is yours alone. No one else can live your life. No one else can guide your growth. Leadership of self is both freedom and responsibility, a powerful paradox. Closing, becoming the captain of your life. To lead yourself is to command your energy, govern your thoughts, and steer your actions with clarity and courage. He who cannot lead himself cannot lead others. The true captain commands from within. When you embrace self-leadership, every challenge becomes an opportunity, every choice becomes intentional, every moment becomes a building block of greatness. Your inner world is your kingdom. Rule it wisely. Your life is your ship, captain it fiercely. Your destiny is yours. Lead yourself to it with unwavering courage and clarity. Chapter 12. The evolution beyond living with purpose, peace, and freedom. There comes a moment in every journey when the struggle, the learning, the battles, and the growth converge. It is not sudden. It is gradual, a slow awakening, a quiet recognition that you are no longer the person who feared, doubted, or hesitated. You have become someone who sees clearly, moves deliberately, and lives fully. This is the evolution beyond, the stage where mastery is not measured by achievement alone, but by the alignment of purpose, peace, and freedom within. The summit within, many chase external success, accolades, wealth, recognition. But the true summit is internal. It is found in the stillness that no chaos can shake. It is felt in the energy that no distraction can deplete. It is lived in the clarity that no doubt can cloud. External triumphs fade. They are fleeting. But inner evolution is permanent, indelible, and liberating. It is the crown of those who have truly awakened to their potential. The story of the river. A river does not fight its course. It does not force itself around obstacles. It flows with patience, persistence, and power. Rocks and storms shape it, but they do not stop it. You are like the river. Your journey is filled with challenges, tests, and storms. But every lesson, every struggle, every moment of growth has shaped the flow of your life towards something greater. Evolution is not in resisting. It is in moving intentionally, with awareness and resilience. Purpose is the compass. Purpose is the North Star that guides your evolution. Without it, even the strongest, most disciplined person can feel lost. With it, the simplest actions gain profound meaning. Purpose is more than ambition. It is the alignment of your actions with the deepest truths of who you are. It transforms work into service, effort into joy, and discipline into devotion. When purpose drives you, life becomes a masterpiece of intention. Peace as the foundation. Peace is not the absence of struggle, it is the presence of understanding. It is the calm that exists even amid storms. It is the clarity that sees beyond chaos. It is the strength that remains unshaken when life tests you. True peace comes not from comfort or avoidance, but from mastery of self, focus, and purpose. It is the quiet reward of the soul that has endured, learned, and evolved freedom as the reward. Freedom is the ultimate prize of evolution. It is freedom from fear, freedom from doubt, freedom from the chains of expectation, distraction, and limitation. But this freedom is earned. It is the product of discipline, courage, and self-leadership. It is the natural outcome of living in alignment with purpose and inner truth. When you are free, life is no longer a series of battles. It is a canvas, and you are the artist. The alchemy of growth. The evolution beyond is alchemy. Pain transforms into power. Discipline transforms into mastery. Fear transforms into courage. Isolation transforms into insight. Everything that once felt heavy, difficult, or impossible becomes fuel for your ascent. Every trial becomes a teacher. Every struggle becomes a stepping stone. And slowly, quietly, you become the person you were always meant to be. Reflection and Presence 1. Identify the lessons and strengths gained from your journey. 2. Ask, how can I live my purpose fully, with clarity and courage every day? 3. Commit to actions that honor your growth, cultivate peace, and embrace freedom. Living fully is not a destination. It is a practice. It is a choice made in every thought, word, and action. It is the continuous alignment of your inner world with your highest vision, the legacy of evolution. Evolution beyond is not only personal, it touches others. The peace you cultivate inspires calm. The freedom you embody encourages courage. The purpose you live ignites vision. Those who evolve beyond themselves leave a legacy not in possessions, but in inspiration. They teach by example. They lead quietly, powerfully, and authentically. Your life, fully realized, becomes a beacon for others seeking their own path of awakening. Closing. The journey continues. You have awakened. You have broken chains. You have cultivated discipline, courage, focus, and resilience. You have rebuilt, reflected, and mastered yourself. Now you live with purpose, peace, and freedom. But evolution is infinite. Growth has no final destination. Each day, each choice, each breath is another step on the path of becoming. The journey beyond is not about perfection, but about alignment. Not about ease, but about authenticity. Not about the world's approval, but about your soul's freedom. Rise each day with intention. Move each day with courage. Live each day with purpose, peace, and freedom. You have believed. You have begun. And now, you have become. The world awaits the fullness of your evolution.